if we're going to help people with their thinking, we need to understand in a very simple way how people actually think. So what I'd like to introduce you to is 4 components about what we do inside our head. In fact, as you're actually watching this now, you are using these 4 thinking components. So let me go through them in turn. When we think, we talk to ourselves. And when we talk to ourselves, we make statements. Now, psychologists have somehow calculated that on average, we talk to ourselves about every 11 seconds. And if you're going, oh, I don't think I do, Andy, you're just happy. Now, the real question is, when you talk to yourself, are you your own best friend or are you your own worst enemy? And for a lot of people, it's a bit of both. So if we start to notice the way that we think and talk to ourselves, both the statements that we make, things like, I can do this, this is going to be great, or it's impossible, it's really tough. What we need to understand is, if we keep repeating these statements to ourselves, it's going to either help or hinder our progress towards our goal or whatever it is that we want to achieve. So, first thing is, start to notice the way that you talk to yourself and the questions that you ask inside your head. And also, when you're coaching other people or just talking to them in conversation, start to notice the statements they're making and the questions that they're asking themselves. So 2 components there, statements and questions. The next 2 components are really about where our focus is. Are we talking about the past and remembering things, or are we focused on the future and where we're going? Let me give you an example. I could say something to myself or remember inside my head a time where things have gone badly, things have gone wrong, maybe where I've made mistakes. Now, if I'm remembering that over and over again and perhaps beating myself up at the same stage, that's not going to help me moving forward, is it? Now, there will be times in our life when we have made mistakes, but the helpful thing is to go back into the past and ask ourselves a helpful question like, what could I learn from that? Or what could I remember to do differently next time? So notice what I'm doing here is actually I'm combining 2 thinking components. The one is what I'm remembering, and the second is the question, to turn that hindering memory into a helpful question. But I could also imagine the future, and I could go, right, this is what my goal looks like. I imagine that when I'm successful, I'm going to be doing these things, I'm going to be involving these people. And if I start imagining what I want in a helpful way, that's obviously a lot better than imagining failure. Oh, I imagine this isn't going to work. So let's just do a quick recap at this point. There are 4 things that we predominantly do inside our head. One is we talk to ourselves in the form of statements. The second is we talk to ourselves but in the form of asking ourselves questions. The third is we remember the past, and that could be helpful or hindering. And the fourth is we imagine. And one of the most common things we imagine is the future, particularly what's going to happen to ourselves. So, 4 thinking components. We're going to come back to these time and time again, because as a coach, it's really important to notice how the person or the group of people that we are helping is either using those components in a helpful way, in which case, great, encourage them to do that and ask them questions to keep them doing that, or we have to notice that they're using these components in a hindering way. And our job as the coach is to introduce them to ways of thinking that are more helpful. And we'll cover those tools and techniques in separate videos.